Hi everyone, Cheryl Arkle. What are you reading? It's a really wet Sydney afternoon. So, for all of you in Sydney, I would hope that you're at home in a nice lounge um, with a cup of coffee or tea, just sitting there reading a book. That's what I'd like to be doing. But I'm here and I like being here, as you know. Cheryl Arkle, what are you reading? Hey, you know how this works. Thursday, 2 o'clock. I tell you what we're reading and you tell us what you're reading. Welcome, everyone. So, so we've had a really big week, a really big week. So we're going to start with some books. We've got so many things coming up that I want to share with you as well. So welcome everyone. As I said, it's Thursday, 2 o'clock. What are you reading? What are you reading? What are we reading? If you're in Sydney, I hope you're keeping dry. The weather is absolutely shocking. Now, we'll start with the first book, which goes with my top. So I've only selected books today that go with what I'm wearing. Just joking. Okay. This is Elsie Silver, and its childhood friends embark on a spontaneous road trip, blurring the lines of friendship as they can confront past pains and unspoken desires. It sounds like me and my friends, actually. This book is called Powerless. It's by Elsie Silver. Beautiful cover. And as I said, it matches my top. Welcome, everyone. Cheryl Arkle, what are you reading? Okay, what are people doing out there? Tell me what you're reading. So much is going on. Let me tell you. This is another book, Stella Quinn, who we all love. This is called Down the Track. It's a new one. And it's about a doctor who faces a personal and professional challenge. She embarks on a journey to dig up some dinosaur bones in remote Queensland sheep station, and so many things happen. So that's called Down the Track, and it's by Stella Quinn, and we love Stella Quinn. Let me know if you've read a Stella Quinn, and that's out now. Okay, welcome everybody. Okay, so we've got quite a few people on. Hi, Christine. Hi, Lisa. Hi, Judy. Judy is reading a preview copy of one of it's called Perfect Couple by Ruth Ware. One Perfect Couple by Ruth Ware. Hey, a little bit about preview. Sometimes you guys are writing to me, and when the preview comes out in the EDM, you're not able to get a response or not able to click on it. Just remember, if you're not quick, it closes quite quickly. But, and sometimes you might have to refresh your browser, but most of 100% of the time the links do work. It's just that people bombard it, and it's so popular that so many people are clicking on the same time. So I hope that explains it for some people, but you know what, just keep trying, because most people all at some point get a go. So that's preview, and you know how preview works is that it's the weekly newsletter, and we have 2 or 3 books usually in a week, and you can put your hand up for reviewing it. Such a popular program. Okay, welcome everyone. Carolyn, hi Carolyn. Carolyn says good afternoon, Cheryl, and she has read Everyone on This Train is a Suspect by Benjamin Stevenson. And The Only Suspect by Louise Candlish is also good. Now, I saw Ben over the weekend, segue. I went to Words on the Waves Writers Festival, and I was there last Saturday, and I was in conversation with Nat's What Do I Reckon? Now, there he is. There's me and there's Nat, and we were on stage. We were in a marquee. Hundreds of people came to see me. No, just joking. Hundreds of people came to see Nat. He is such a wonderful comedian, such a great storyteller, and that's him there. So we recorded a podcast of that event. So we were recording it. So if you want to have a listen, for those of you that weren't there, and I'm going to tell, it was packed. The marquee was packed. It was sold out. He's so entertaining. He's, as I said, he tells a good story. It's a really great podcast. He does swear a lot. And that it kind of encouraged me to swear a lot as well. So we're both swearing quite a lot on this podcast. So if you don't like swearing, don't listen. But if you like swearing and humour combined, have a listen. I laughed so much in that conversation that I got a really bad stitch. And at one point I had to stand up and sort myself out. But Words on the Wave was really a terrific festival. So many people, and despite the heavy rain. Oh, and that's the segue. Benjamin Stevenson was there as well. So I saw him in the green room. So there you go. Thank you, Carolyn, for that segue. Kaz is reading The Wild Calm by Diane Armstrong. Now that podcast is out too. Diane came in a couple of weeks ago, really beautiful writer, just such a lovely person. And if you want to listen to her podcast, her and I in conversation, and we recorded it live in the office, have a listen. Hi, Malvina. Malvina is reading The Next Big Thing by James Coley. Loads of Aussie fun. Teresa, hello, is reading Shantaram. Oh, that's right. You told us that last week, I think. Thank you, Teresa, for letting us know. Still getting through it. It is a brick of a book, isn't it? But a book that's probably, I don't know, 20 years old now at least. Sally says, hi, Cheryl. I'm reading my favourite Mistakes by Marianne Keyes. Loving it so far. I mean, she is out there at the moment talking about all sorts of things. I love Marianne. She's just such a lovely writer and a lovely person. Joy Bell, hi Joy Bell. We haven't heard from you for a while. Joy Bell has been reading The Last Lifeboat by Hazel Gaynor, and she tells us it's a great read. Thanks, Joy Bell. Oh, Wynne, hello. Wynne is reading Audrey Has Gone AWOL, a brilliant book. Meryl is reading Headland by John Bryces. Okay, what else am I reading? Oh, this is lovely, and I think Julie Bennett joined us last week, didn't she, on What Are You Reading? This is Julie's new book. It's called The Lost Letters of Rose Carey. It's out now. It's a really beautiful book, and it follows a videographer, Emma Quinn, as she uncovers a box of letters belonging to a 1920s Aussie film icon, Rose Carey. Anyway, it's wonderful. The discovery, it's a real page turner, and it's filled with lots of betrayal, suspense, and deceit. Thank you, Julie, for that. And thank you for joining us last week too, Julie. So that's The Lost Letters of Rose Carey. Okay, tell me what you're reading. I've got a lot to get through. I just want to put this book up because I absolutely am mad on the cover. Look at how beautiful that is. That's Jackie French, the sea captain's wife. We all love Jackie. I mean, who doesn't love Jackie French? Kids love Jackie French. Adults love Jackie French. I recorded a podcast with Jackie not so long ago as well. I think I've done a couple with her now. And this is a story of murder and mystery in the high seas. And it's about love that's so intense. You never know what the sea can give you or what it will take back. There you go. And that's Jackie French, divine storyteller. And I know you all love her because often when we talk about Jackie, you guys are all over it. Okay, what else have we got? Janine says, hi, just read Bonelands by Pip Fioretti. Huge gripping story, and she loved it. Sally loved Down the Track. Pamela, What Happened to Nina by Dervla McTiernan. We love Dervla, and she's such a great crime writer. She's Irish but lives in Western Australia. Natasha just finished listening to With Winter Darkness Comes by Robbie Neal. With Winter, I can't even say it. Sorry. With Winter Darkness Comes is what I meant to be saying, by Robbie Neal. Wow, wow, wow. For fans of Trent Dalton's writing, current book is Prima Facie by Susie Miller, and loving it. Natasha, you're getting through quite a few books there, and thanks for comparing Robbie Neal to Trent Dalton. That's often a good tip. Thanks for sharing that with us. Yvonne is reading Red River Road. A few days ago, I read The Little Wartime Library, and it was great. You guys are getting through those books. Now, I think I did mention, for those of you that live in Sydney, there's been quite a bit of rain there. Christine is currently reading the new book by Kate Forsyth. That's such a coincidence, Christine, because just minutes before we started this recording, I was talking to the staff about Kate Forsyth. So there you go. Thank you for that. Marie is reading Librarians of, I don't know how to pronounce that, but it's The Street Rue de Picarde, and it's by Janet Skilson Charles. Charmaine is reading The Mistress of Dara Island by Avril Kenny. Alona, hi Alona, is reading The Yield by Tara June Lynch. Very confronting. Wow, that's an old one, Alona. She won something. I think she might have won the. Can somebody Google that? I think she might have won the Miles Franklin Award for that book. It's called The Yield, Tara June Winch. She came in, and I record. Yeah, won the Miles Franklin. She came in around that time, and I loved meeting with her. She's such a gentle, beautiful soul. The book is gorgeous. And I spent quite a bit of time with her that day. And the podcast is beautiful. It's one of my favorites. And, you know, every now and then I go back and listen to that podcast. It's a couple of years old now, but I really, really enjoyed my conversation with her and the book. So that's Tara June Winch. Julie, hi, Julie. Julie is reading Mornings in Janine by Susan Ablois, and she's finding it really a troubling read because of the current events. So important to learn history, isn't it, Julie? So important. You know, and things aren't changing at the moment for what's happening in Palestine, which is absolutely heartbreaking. All those children being murdered. It's terrible. Anyway, all right, we won't get into that because we're talking about what are you reading, but thank you, Julie, for sharing that with us. And it's good to be reading books from different cultural perspectives, for sure. Susan is reading David Baldacci's A Calamity of Souls. Love that author. Thank you, Susan. Thanks for sharing that with us. Sue just finished the Wartime Book Club by Kate Thompson. I've got another book here, which I want to talk about. It's called Heart of the River by Cheryl Adnams. She's got a great name, don't you think? Everyone's laughing at me here. And it's set in 1956, Mildura, Victoria, and a really beautiful read. It's kind of part romance, I guess, and lots of other things happening, family relationships and all sorts of things. And that's got a really, really sweet cover as well. Okay, so that's out now. I've got a few little post-it notes that I need to cover. Pirates of the Dark Sea, that's Catherine Doyle, and that podcast is out now. There's a little book. It's a kid's book, and I had a really lovely chat with Catherine, and that podcast is out now. Don't forget to rate our podcast. If you're listening and you're enjoying them, please rate them. Okay, Lisa says, hi, Cheryl, currently reading Jane's book. Oh, we love that. Tilda is Visible. What a thought-provoking book, really enjoying it. I don't know anyone who hasn't enjoyed that book. Julie said, that talk sounds entertaining. Was the interview recorded? Yes, my talk with Nate is what you're talking about, I think. Yes, do you want to put up the Nate podcast? That's out today, and we'll put a link in comments. It was so much fun. Have a listen. Yes, there's a lot of swearing, so warning, but he's a really great guy, and it was a really fun interview. So, yes, that's out, and you can listen to it right now. Okay, Joy says, hi, everyone. I'm actually wallowing in Beatrix Bakes, Another Slice by Natalie Paul. It's a beautiful cookbook that is a follow-up to her first one. Some of her characters read like a novel, and she's also very funny. Beautiful, easy to follow recipes. Happy eating. Thank you, Joy. You're a bit like me, Joy. I mean, I am an absolute reader of cookbooks. People often say to me, and I wonder if this happens to you, I really enjoy reading, I do, and I really enjoy cooking and baking. And people often say, oh, you're a good cook, you don't use recipe books. Well, no, that's not true. I like cooking, and hopefully I am a good cook. I'm not going to be the judge of that. But I absolutely use recipe books. I read so many recipes. I follow recipes. And sometimes I make something that I think is totally original, but in actual fact, and I wonder if this happens to you, Joy, in actual fact, I've read the recipe probably a couple of months ago. So a lot of my inspiration in terms of food and baking comes from recipe books. And I've got many, many recipe books at home, as well as lots of other books as well. But let me know what you do. But I am definitely a recipe follower. Okay, so Nats, what do you reckon? That podcast is up now. There's another book that I want to talk about, which has the most fantastic title. Dexter, you're going to put that up for me. It's called The Hazelbourne Ladies Motorcycle and Flying Club. That is the most fantastic cover. It's by an author called Helen Simpson, and it's a young woman's life is changed in the summer after World War I when she befriends a group of independent motorcycle riding women in a seaside town off the English coast. Just sounds so captivating and so dreamy and something. Look at that little motorbike with the companion. Anyway, that is a really wonderful book. It's called The Hazelbourne Ladies Motorcycle and Flying Club. And I love to see women in a motorcycle club because often we think of men doing that. Kylie, hi Kylie. I think it's been a while since we've spoken. Kylie is currently rereading It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. Colleen Hoover. Lost my reading mojo, so this is helping me get back into it. I'm also on holiday, so even better. Oh, well, that could be why we haven't heard from you. You lost your reading mojo. That's really interesting because that does happen, and it certainly happens to me. When I lose my long form reading mojo, I just go to short stories or poetry. But tell me if you guys generally, have you lost your reading mojo at any point? And what did you do? Did you just kind of go with it? Did you start reading short form or did you watch Netflix? Or because really it's just about the consumption of stories. How else did you get your stories? Or maybe you didn't need story for a while. Let me know. Carol says, hi, Cheryl. I'm reading What I Would Do to You by Georgia Harper. Wendy, hi Wendy, is reading The Hummingbird Effect by Kate Mindle-Hall and Milking Time by Rachel Treasure. I spoke to Rachel. We recorded a podcast with her recently. I don't know if that's out yet. Is that out? It might be. And Kate Mildenhall I saw at the Arbias, and I don't know if you guys watched that, the red carpet. She's such a lovely writer. She lives in Melbourne, and she was at that industry event that night. And I think I think her book was shortlisted. Joy is Love in Glass House. Meredith, hi Meredith, is about to start The Wrong Sister by Claire Douglas. I haven't read any of her books before, but I see she has written several. Don't you love it when you discover an author and then that's it? You can only read that author until you finish reading everything they wrote. I did that. I remember doing that with Gabriel Garcia Marquez. It took me nearly a year though. There were so many books. But anyway, there you go. Hi, Julie. Julie's, homework. Yes, Julie, I've forgotten about that. We were going to put it up. Do we have the checklist, the top 100 checklist? Let's put that up. Thank you, Julie, for reminding me. I'd forgotten that. So Julie, her homework. So last week we said, I'm going to ask people how many books have they read from the top 100, the 2024 top 100. Julie has read 48 out of the 100. So I'm deciding what to do with the books I've won from veteran. Oh, did you win this year? Oh, fantastic. Well, I wonder if you've received them all, if they sent them to you yet. But either way, they'll start coming. And so many people have done different things. They've gifted them to friends after they've finished with them. They've donated them to the public library or to the high school if they're age appropriate. So there's so many things you can do with them. They're your 100 books and you can decide what you do with them. But thanks for reminding me. We're going to put that list up, Dex. Yeah, Dex is finding it. So remember that we did the poster for the top 100 and it had a checklist. If you guys have remembered to do your homework like Julie has, tell me how many books out of the 100 you've read. Sharon is joining us via YouTube. Always good to see you too, Sharon. And she's reading She's Not Sorry by Mary Kubica. I met many, many years ago. I was in New York and I went to a bookshop. I think it was on the Upper West Side, really beautiful bookshop. And Mary Kubica happened to be in the bookshop at the same time that I was. And I think I spoke to her and I think I did a Facebook Live recording with her or something. But anyway, there you go. You can't hide from me. If you're a writer, I will find you. Melissa says, hi, Cheryl. I'm reading Tom Lake by Anne Patchett and enjoying it. Oh, I just love her. She's so wonderful. She was here for the Sydney Writers Festival. I got to meet her, got to have a drink with her. I had recorded a podcast with her, but that was over Zoom. So it was really nice meeting her in person. Kylie, I have her other book. Yep. So I can't remember what that was in reference to. Julie's back. I'm thinking it could be fun to leave books with brief reviews on the train as I travel to Melbourne occasionally. Absolutely, Julie. What a great idea. Kylie loves a beautiful cover. It's my biggest weakness when I'm buying books. Actually, Kylie, it is something I notice too. A cover, it really can draw me in. Absolutely. Joe Wright is reading To Sing of War by Catherine McKinnon and The Days Toppled Over by Vista Matabushi. And I'd say that Joe's enjoying them. CJ is reading The Chill by Scott Carson. Julianne is reading Scattershot by Bernie Tolpin. Sandra, hi Sandra. Sandra's reading Five Bush Weddings by Claire Fletcher, which is my last book to read before Rachel John's book club retreat. Oh, wow. There you go. Love Claire. She's been in here a couple of times and we've recorded a podcast together. A really nice writer as well. Christine had the privilege of meeting Robbie Neal last Thursday when she spoke about her new book, With Winter Comes Darkness. Oh, that's fantastic. Where was that, Christine? Where was that, at the library or at a local bookstore? James, hi James. James is still reading My Dear Bessie, Letters from World War II from Chris Barker, stationed in Libya, to Bessie Moore in London, edited by Simon Garfield. Well, that sounds wonderful. I mean, people's diaries are often so very heartfelt. And thanks, James, for joining us. So here's the poster. Here's the top 100, the nation's 100 best loved books. This is the 2024 list. If you remember to do your homework, I'd forgotten we were doing it. But anyway, if you remember to do your homework, you're meant to go through that list and see how many you've read. If you've forgotten, don't worry about it. I'll ask you again next week. Okay, all right. Annie, I've just finished The Royal Librarian by Daisy Wood. Christine, I love reading recipe books. I mean, there is just nothing more. Like if I'm thinking, how do I unwind? Well, I love swimming as well. But the second thing is I just get a recipe book and I just get that out. I might not ever make anything from that book, but I will read it from front to back. I mean, that's just it. And, you know, I probably subconsciously do make something out of that book. Teresa, I've only read 21 out of the 100, but some are on the TBR pile. Jessica says, hi, Cheryl. I'm reading The Women of Pearl Island by Polly Crosby. I love Polly. Do you know, I think Polly Crosby was one of our first podcasts back when. I mean, I'm sure I've told you this. I think we're up to over 500 now. I've spoken to a couple of hundred authors in the last few years. Carolyn said she wants to read the new Helen Simpson book. And loved her last one, which was The Last Summer Before the War. Christine says, the top 100 books I have read, 22, but have 15 of them on my TBR pile. Wow. Kylie's been busy working, so didn't get on as much as she normally would with her top 100. Vanessa is reading The Murder Rule by Dervla McTiernan. Love her books. I do too. Pamela, yes, I do lose my reading mojo. Yeah, that's really interesting. Mainly after I finish a great book and can't find my next book to read. I just go with no reading until something catches my eye and then my mojo is back. That is, I'd say, very common, Pamela. And it is hard sometimes when you've put down a fantastic book. There's a lot of grief that comes sometimes with finishing a book. And I'm sure you guys feel the same way. Thanks for sharing that, Pamela. Alona has read 50 out of the 100. Good for you, Alona. Sandra, after a difficult time, I started several books which I couldn't get into because the content was rather confronting. So I put them on the shelf and read something light. I've read 54 of the top 100 and have 12 on my TBR shelf. Wow, thanks for sharing that, Sandra. That's true, actually. It really depends it depends what phase or what you're doing in your life sometimes. I think for me, music is like that, and definitely books. I can place a lot of the times where I was, you know. I mean, just recently when I went to see Anne Patchett, I remembered that I read Bel Canto on a train trip from Denver to San Francisco. And those, I mean, I guess I don't remember where I've read every book, but if it's memorable, you kind of do, don't you? Anyway, that's interesting. 54 out of 100. That's wonderful, Sandra. Thanks for sharing. Kylie won the top 100 a few years ago, and most of them went to the library for others to enjoy. And what a great thing to do with them. Sally needs an extension on your homework. Sally, absolutely, and we'll remember to ask you next week. And if we don't, please remind us. Holly just started the new Nicola Moriarty book. Isn't that funny? We were just talking about that in the office earlier. The Moriarty sisters are so clever. And for those of you that don't know, Nicola is Leanne Moriarty's sister. But I think there's a couple of writers in that family. Holly just started that's what I just read. Colleen reading The River by Vicky Wakefield and really enjoying it. James is back. In Mary Poppins 2, there is a song. A cover is not the book, so open it up and take a look. Thank you. That's really sweet. That's sweet. So is it then that you read a couple of passages? Like, how do you choose? Are you reading the cover? Does the blurb help, James? Or do you read the first couple of pages, or is it a cover? Like, what makes you pick it up initially? Or maybe not. Maybe you just pick up or read what people refer or recommend, if you like. I don't know. You tell me. Okay, Christine, I met Robbie she met Robbie at the local Collins bookstore here in Ballarat. She's a local author. Oh, that's fantastic. Oh, Christine is off to meet Kate Forsyth on Friday to listen to her talk about her new book. That's fantastic. All right, I think that's it from me. Have I covered everything? I think I have. Listen to our podcast. Please give us a review. Oh, this is what I want to tell you. We're launching something very, very exciting next week. It's something that I think you're really going to love. So tune in next week. A couple of things to remember next week. We will do the top 100. How many of you read? So do your homework. I'm going to share with you something very, very special. And that's it from me today. If you're in Sydney, stay dry if you can. The weather is shocking. And if you're somewhere where the sun is shining, lucky you. Okay, take care. That's it from me. See you next time.